What's up, guys? It's King Egbert here and the Angry Birds family, and today we're gonna talk about why Idi Amin was super fucking awesome and based. Why we fucking love Idi Amin. Why we wish America could have a president just like Idi Amin. And why, in many ways, we would love to do Idi Amin's Uganda right here in the United States. And it's appropriate that I talk about Idi Amin first, for obvious reasons. But yeah, Idi Amin was super fucking awesome, bro. Like, he was tough. He was a fucking boxer, bro. He served in the King's African Rifles when Uganda was a British colony, along with Ziad Barre, who was the last communist dictator of Somalia, and he was also super awesome and based. Maybe we'll make another video on him too. But yeah, both of them served in the King's African Rifles, and it looks like it produced a lot of good sports. And Idi Amin, bro, Idi Amin, he helped put down Somali rebels in the King's African Rifles, then he put down the Mau Mau rebels, and then while he was in Uganda, he overthrew Milton Obote. Bro, Milton Obote was, he was African Jimmy Carter. Like, he literally looks like Jimmy Carter, bro, if Jimmy Carter was born in sub-Saharan Africa. Like such a funny-ass looking guy. And he was overthrown by Idi Amin because, bro, he was cringe. He was a loser. Being Jimmy Carter sucks. Yeah, and, Idi Amin, he trained as a paratrooper in Is Not Real. And when he did his badass coup, bro, bro, Milton Obote, he was away like a little bitch in Singapore, and Idi Amin pulled a fast one on him, He overthrew, he did a coup on the government, and Milton Obote was fucking stuck in Singapore like a little bitch, unable to take back his presidency, bro. And, there's some, and Is Not Real was actually involved in the coup, but then Idi Amin, in Idi Amin's own words, he had a very, very good brain. He turned on Is Not Real and adopted an anti-Is Not Real policy. Thanks to getting help from Muammar Gaddafi and the PLO, bro. And Idi Amin, bro, He took the fight, Milton Obote, who was sour grapes like a little bitch about being overthrown. He went to Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, and they tried to invade Uganda to overthrow Idi Amin in 1972, and they failed, bro. Idi Amin whooped their ass hard, bro, and he got help from Muammar Gaddafi's Libya and the PLO. And, even though the US and the UK, they pretended to be anti-Idi Amin, bro, nah. In 1973, the US became Uganda's largest trading partner after the UK, because, bro, Idi Amin was too badass that they couldn't afford to lose Idi Amin. But Is Not Real was cringe, bro. So Is Not Real cut ties with Idi Amin. And Idi Amin, bro, he made awesome ass plans. Like, there's this video on YouTube. It's called Idi Amin Reveals His Plans to Invade Is Not Real. And it's really funny, bro. He was gonna get paratroopers from like fucking Vietnam to go and whoop Is Not Real's ass. It was awesome. And there was this French journalist who was, it was like this interview in 1974, just saying, like, is it true that you told what's his name, Kurt Waldheim or whatever, that the Mustache Man didn't unalive enough Epstein ethnicity members? And Idi Amin was like, bro, why are you questioning me, bro? This shit's in the past. And I'm like, yeah, bro, don't let the media ever ambush you like that. Am I right? Not to mention that, a year later in 1975, Idi Amin gave an awesome speech because, he would communicate all his brilliant ideas on Radio Uganda. And in 1975, he gave this awesome speech on Radio Uganda where he praised the Mustache Man. He said it's a shame that the Mustache Man didn't unalive enough members of the Epstein ethnicity. And that he planned to build a statue of the Mustache Man, but then someone in Idi Amin's circle told him not to do it because the Mustache Man also would not have liked Idi Amin either, so Idi Amin didn't do it. But bro, he would say the most funny ass awesome shit on Radio Uganda. And I hope that the government of Uganda sorry bro, gotta clear my throat. But sorry about that, but I hope that one day the government of Uganda will upload all of the shit that Idi Amin said on the radio onto YouTube so that we can all listen to his funny ass shit, bro. But at least AP Archive uploads a lot of awesome shit about Idi Amin, so we get a great idea what he's like, bro. And the more I learn about him, bro, the more I just can't help but love this guy, bro. He is so awesome. Yeah, and more awesome shit about Idi Amin, bro. There was this in 1976. A bunch of PLO members and some West German leftist radicals. They hijacked an Air France Airbus A300. And bro, like in general, I'm against aircraft hijacking. I praise China all the time for having the death penalty for aircraft hijacking and for defection by aircraft or by ship. But this particular aircraft hijacking, bro, was awesome and based. They hijacked a flight that was coming from Boom Boom, Tel Aviv, on its way to Paris, and they made a stop in Entebbe, Uganda, and Idi Amin, bro, he handled this hijacking like a badass, bro, like a very selective badass. He ordered the hostage takers to only take the Epstein ethnicity members and is not realies on that plane as hostages, and it was done because is not real was taking PLO members hostage, so it was retributive justice, bro. And Idi Amin allowed all the French Christian and Algerian Muslim members the passengers on board that plane to fly safely back to France through an Air France 747. But unfortunately, Jomo Kenyatta allowed Is Not Real to put commandos that then launched a raid on Entebbe Airport, and they freed the hostages. That's a meme. But yeah, they freed the hostages. And bro, it was so sad. But Idi Amin thankfully gave capital punishment to the airport retarded workers who allowed the commandos to take over. And he also gave capital punishment to this cringe-ass British Karen that was on board the airplane. And also, bro, Idi Amin... So, Idi Amin got a lot of support from, the Soviet Union and East Germany, bro. Like, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya was too pro-Western bloc, and Julius Nyerere was too pro-China. So, Idi Amin was like a counterweight for the Soviet Union, bro. And... And Idi Amin, bro, he launched a campaign to make Uganda clean. He was not tolerant at all, bro, of any kinds of filth at all. Anytime he saw filth, he forced his whole population, bro, forced them into unpaid labor, cleaning that shit up, bro. He punished litter bug losers. He had no tolerance for filth. It was kind of similar to how Joseph Désiré Mobutu in the Belgian Congo, the former Belgian Congo, made everybody clean, forced the whole population to clean up shit, bro. Like, bro, everywhere I go outside in my neighborhood, bro, it's just flooded with litter everywhere. It's like, bro, can we please have an Idi Amin that will force all these litterers to clean up their fucking litter like a bitch? Yeah, and also, bro, Idi Amin, bro, he created an awesome personalist dictatorship, bro. Idi Amin, when he took over, he abolished the Constitution of Uganda. He abolished the legislature of Uganda. He abolished the prime minister position of Uganda, or I think Obote did that before, but whatever. He he turned Uganda to a personalist dictatorship. He abolished political parties, bro. It was a personalist, nonpartisan dictatorship. Obviously, there was no separation of powers, no independent judiciary or, judicial review, judiciary part of the unified state apparatus as it should be. And and also Idi Amin, so because he abolished the legislature and the constitution, the country was ruled by decree, which is great. And because there was no prime minister at all, Idi Amin didn't have, some bozo checking his power. He had a vice president. I think the vice president was named Mustafa Idrisi. But, bro, vice presidents are just figureheads, bro. Just, someone to be the president's best bud, which is great. So, yeah, Idi Amin, bro. And of course, Uganda was, and still is, but was a super highly centralized unitary state. So when it came to administrative divisions, he just appointed military leaders to carry out his agenda. It was awesome. It was like a stratocracy, whatever it's called. But Idi Amin, he had a super, super awesome fucking uniform, bro. I love his uniform. I wish I could have a uniform just like that. Wasn't his uniform awesome? Like, don't you just wish that American presidents would wear that kind of outfit, bro? He was badass. Yeah, another thing about Idi Amin. Bro, keep clearing my throat. But another awesome thing about Idi Amin, bro, was when there was like stuff like, so unfortunately, one big L for Idi Amin was that he wasn't communist enough. Unfortunately, he didn't implement a Soviet type command economy, but at least he implemented a lot of great socialist policies, like nationalizing a lot of industries. And also, when there was like agricultural shortages and shit, like in a similar way to communist countries, but not exactly, he put a lot of people on forced labor to work in agriculture, dude. It was great. And Idi Amin, bro, he had, for his counterintelligence directorate, it was like a research bureau, bro. He was all about R&D, bro, when it came to counterintelligence, bro. He was pro-intellectual. Yeah, and also about Idi Amin, bro. So, Idi Amin was a big fan of big game hunting, bro. Because, he was in Africa, big game hunting giraffes, rhinoceroses, lions, tigers, leopards, bro. Well, I don't think there's tigers in Africa, but there are leopards, elephants, and shit. Like, the only L for Idi Amin there was that he didn't impose enough hunting regulations to prevent, population depletions, because good hunting laws allow people to hunt but also prevent species from going extinct. Species didn't go extinct when Idi Amin was in charge, but like near that, so he could have been better on hunting. But overall, bro, I cannot blame him at all for having that great taste in big game hunting, yo. Yeah, and another thing about Idi Amin, bro, so like, another L for Idi Amin was like, he practiced polygamy. We're against polygamy here, bro. We're glad that most countries have outlawed polygamy. We wish every country could outlaw polygamy. But I guess I can't blame Idi Amin for having that religious devotion, because polygamy was part of his religion, and so and part of it, and because of his religious beliefs too, he also cracked down on alcohol. He probably should have just banned it outright, but at least he cracked down on alcohol, which is great. Yeah, I think unfortunately Idi Amin, bro, he was overthrown by Joyce Nyerere, bro. Like, Ugandan opposition came with Tanzania invading Idi Amin after Idi Amin annexed the Kagari salient, or whatever it's called. And bro, like, Idi Amin, it was understandable why Idi Amin thought it would work, because it worked last time in 1972. And in the same case, he got help from Libya and the PLO. And this time he did get help from Libya and the PLO, but I guess Libya and the PLO didn't help him out enough. So, unfortunately, Joyce Nyerere overthrew Uganda's best president ever, bro. And now Uganda's president, Yoweri Museveni or whatever, bro, he fucking sucks. He sucks, dude. Idi Amin, bro, would barbecue his ass, bro, because he is such a loser. Loser. Yeah, and people also talk about how Uganda expelled Indians from his country. Yeah, that was bad. Obviously, we condemn ethnic cleansing here. We think ethnic cleansing is horrible. However, at the same time, we think that, so even though we would never advocate for such a policy, we think that it is understandable why Idi Amin did it. Because Idi Amin, he gave an interview, I think, with like an Australian journalist. I think you can probably find it on like AP Archive or whatever. Where he said, the reason why he expelled Indians from Uganda, well, he didn't do it because they were Indian. Idi Amin was not racist. Idi Amin, when the British press called Idi Amin, the black mustache man, to self-censor, you know who the mustache man is, but we can't say his name explicitly, the H word, the black H word. Idi Amin was like, yeah, I admire that title because it means I'm a super strong leader, but I am not a racialist. Exactly, bro. So people accusing Idi Amin of being racist, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're doing a great injustice. But Idi Amin expelled Indians because he told this Australian journalist, because when he was a kid, his family was employed by Indians, and the Indians were always abusing his family, and especially his mother. So Idi Amin expelled Indians, and he knew it would destroy the economy, or potentially destroy the economy. I think the damage it did to the economy is exaggerated, but it would potentially destroy the economy. He did it because he wanted to make them suffer just like they made his family suffer, so he didn't care what the economic impacts were. But however, Idi Amin did told the Indians that were expelled, they wouldn't be expelled if they just took Ugandan passports, bro. So it wasn't ethnic cleansing. He was telling them, hey, bro, pledge loyalty to Idi Amin, take a Ugandan passport, and they didn't do it. Like, why, bro? Why is it so hard? You know what I mean, bro? Yeah. Yeah, what else? Why else was Idi Amin awesome and based? Oh, yeah. He was also really, really funny, guys, in other ways. Like, I think it was like in 1973 or whatever, like during the time of the Troubles. In Britain and Ireland, Idi Amin sarcastically launched a Save Britain fund where he asked people to donate in money and supplies to the Save Britain Relief Fund. And Idi Amin said, help us help our former colonial masters. So, gotta love that sarcastic enthusiasm, bro. Pretty funny, that's some pretty funny shit, yo. Yeah, bro, what else? What other reasons was Idi Amin awesome and based, bro? Oh, yeah, he gave capital punishment to a lot of traitors. People are always like, Idi Amin, he did summary executions, blah, 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 blah. Nah, bro, he did it to people that were traitors, bro, that were trying to rebel against him. He was self-defense, bro. Yeah, and another false accusation against Idi Amin. That's probably just is not really propaganda. He was, some testimony came decades later from verbal testimony that Idi Amin was a cannibal. But bro, that's a load of horse shit. No, Idi Amin was not a cannibal at all. There is no evidence of that at all, bro. Idi Amin does not seem to be that kind of guy who would do that kind of shit, bro. Like, am I right? Yeah. What else, bro? What else? Trying to think, bro. Trying to think. There's a lot of great things about Idi Amin, bro. And just trying to think, bro. You know. Uh, yeah. Think that might be. Think that might be it, right? Think that might be it. Think that might be all the great things about Idi Amin, because can't think of any more off the top of my head. But yeah, it was awesome. The personalist dictatorship he created, bro. It was amazing. He was super stylish. He was super funny, bro. He had super strong authority, bro. Solved problems. He was hard edged. Believe in solving problems quickly, and I think part of that is values that were instilled in him when he was part of the King's African Rifles. So it looks like the British create some pretty great leaders, bro. Idi Amin, was described when he was in the King's African Rifles as supposedly fiercely loyal to Britain. Um, you know, so, yeah. What else, bro? What else did Idi Amin do that was awesome? Yeah. I'm having. Yeah. I guess I can't think of any more stuff, bro. I think that's all. Yeah, Uganda was just great when Idi Amin was running it, and I think there's a lot of awesome things we can learn from the way Uganda was run when Idi Amin was in charge. And yeah, I guess that's it, bro. We covered everything. We covered the hijacking. We covered the Indian expulsion. We covered the labor policies and stuff, and the nationalizations. We covered his awesome radio speeches, his funny interviews. We covered his wars. Think that's it. Think that's it, bro. So yeah. What a shame that Julius Nyerere overthrew this amazing man. But, he lived in exile. He ate a lot of oranges, bro. Oranges are like the best fruit ever. That's why they called him, I think they call him Dr. Jaffa. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention his awesome ass title, bro. His awesome ass title, exactly. He was called His Excellency President for Life, Dr. Idi Amin Dada. MC, VC, Lord. Lord of the beasts of the sea. Lord of the beasts of the earth and fishes of the sea, and conqueror of the British Empire in general, but Uganda in particular. So I think another big L for Idi Amin, bro, was that he didn't add birds of the sky. He should have added birds of the sky. You're only Lord of the animals on land and in the sea. What about the birds in the sky, the birds and bats, bro? You gotta be master of that shit too, yeah. That's yeah. Anything else? What else, bro? What else, bro? Yeah, he escaped to Libya because of Nyerere overthrowing him. Boo. He escaped to Saudi Arabia, lived in exile, but he still did interviews. That's how much of an open person he was. A friendly guy, bro. Milton Obote took over. Boo, Jimmy Carter, boo. Hashtag African Jimmy Carter, boo. Lame, lame. There was a small British population in Uganda that also sort of lived in fear of expulsion, but it never really happened. Oh yeah, Idi Amin also expelled is not realies from Uganda too, because he said they would ruin the economy and shit, and also because they were just a fifth column in general. Uganda voted to recognize the PRC though. as the real China and not the ROC. That's another thing that Idi Amin did. Or more specifically, UN ambassador. Oh yeah, another cool thing about Idi Amin, guys. Idi Amin's, the people that Idi Amin appointed to run the provinces. There was like this guy. There was like this guy who was like anti-sandals, bro. Like he banned sandals because he thought that sandals were unclean. Yeah, I agree, bro. Some sandals are just absolutely cringe and unsightly. I just fucking hate Birkenstocks, bro. I hate Crocs. I hate what else do I hate? I hate Newports. Flip flops. I guess maybe for women. I guess maybe it's okay. Kind of slutty, but I guess not as bad as Birkenstocks. Also maybe for men near the pool. But yeah, this guy, bro, working for Idi Amin, he banned sandals because he wanted people to wear fucking shoes. Wear shoes, bro. And that's another value that got instilled from being in the King's African Rifles, yo. But unfortunately, because there weren't enough shoes in Uganda, a lot of people went barefoot. Unfortunately, so that's sad. What other awesome shit did Idi Amin, bro? It's all coming back to me every time I'm about to end the video, and then I just remember another awesome ass thing about Idi Amin. But yeah, I mentioned how awesome his uniform is, bro. He was 6'4", by the way. He was a big guy, because he was from the Nilotes. The Nilotes are like the tallest and thinnest people in the world, bro. He was from the Kakwa, originating from South Sudan. So yeah, makes sense. Kakwa, whatever. So a pretty awesome guy. He lived a kind of a short life, 1927 to 2003. He could have lived longer. And he could have run Uganda longer, bro. He was willing to come back to Uganda if the people asked for him. Yeah, I mentioned how Tanzania worked with Mozambique. Believe I mentioned that, to overthrow him in 1979, bro. That was But taking the Kagari salient, I guess, kind of made sense, defining the border along the river, am I right? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of awesome African leaders, too, that probably deserve their own videos. There's Thomas Sankara, there's Muammar Gaddafi, there's Ziad Barre, there's Jean Bodel Bokassa. There's awesome Haitian leaders like François Duvalier and Jean-Claude Duvalier. There's also other awesome African leaders too. I think who else, bro? Who else? And some African leaders that were decent too. Jamal Abdel Nasser, pretty cool guy. Who else? Not a fan of Robert Mugabe, bro. Robert Mugabe was in the Epstein files. Bro, lame. Yeah, yeah, and I guess most people, though, rightfully, or actually, no, I think maybe it's better if Chuck says this thing, not me. Yeah, it's better if I say, bro, fuck, but fuck Joseph Désiré Mobutu and like people like François Tombal Baye, bro. Authenticity sucked. Authenticity was like a shitty ass policy. Thank God Idi Amin didn't have dumb shit like that, bro. Not even Thomas Sankara, interestingly, didn't have dumb shit like that. And there's also some African leaders, bro, that absolutely fucking suck, and we're gonna make videos talking about why they suck too. Like why Ibrahim Traoré sucks. Ibrahim Traoré, they're trying to make him the new Sankara, but that is not true, bro. That is a load of horse shit. He is not the new Sankara, and you're insulting Sankara by saying that he is. But yeah, guys, basically, hopefully all this information we gave to you guys should help you understand why we love Idi Amin, why Idi Amin was super awesome and based, why America must have a president like Idi Amin, and why we must do, in many ways, not every way, but in many ways, we must do Idi Amin's Uganda right here in the United States. This has been J. Edgar Vacuum Cleaner and the Angry Birds family. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, check out all of our content. Click that notifications button so you never miss another video. And help us win the YouTube arms race against Mr. Beast. by making us the first YouTube channel in world history to get over 1 billion subscribers. This has been J. Edgar Vacuum Cleaner and the Angry Birds family. Peace!